Have you ever felt like your own mother was living her dream through you? Like your choices didn't matter, as long as you looked pretty and caught a rich man's eye? That was my life. My name is Lisa, I'm 17, and for as long as I can remember, my mom cared about two things: her beauty, and her dream of marrying into wealth. The problem? She wanted me to do the same, even if it meant crushing everything I cared about. Every morning, she barged into my room with a new dress, shorter, tighter, shinier. "Lisa, wear this tonight. Mr. Carson's son will be at the dinner. Don't embarrass me." I hated it. I loved studying biology, loved reading about animals, loved staying up late sketching little birds in my notebook. But to my mom, books were useless unless they got me a rich husband. At school, I felt like a doll, walking around in clothes that weren't me. People whispered, "Oh, that's Lisa, the girl trying to marry rich." It wasn't who I was, but Mom's voice was always louder than mine. Then came the night everything changed. She forced me on another date, this time with a college guy from a wealthy family. We were supposed to meet at a fancy restaurant, but when I slipped outside for a breath of air, I met him. Jake. He wasn't dressed like the others, no suit, no arrogance. Just a simple shirt and an easy smile. "Hey, you look like you want to disappear," he joked. I laughed for the first time in weeks. He told me he worked there as a waiter, but outside of shifts, he was the president of the school's wildlife research club. He was planning a night project to track nocturnal animals with special cameras. My heart raced. Finally, someone who cared about the same things I did. The next week, I lied to my mom. I told her I had study group, but instead, I met Jake at the edge of his project site. He handed me a flashlight, and together we set up small tracking devices in my backyard garden, where foxes sometimes came at night. For the first time, I felt alive. We weren't just talking about rich husbands or beauty creams, we were talking about owls, foxes, and how fragile the world was. Jake treated me like a person, not a pawn. But of course, Mom found out. It happened at a party she threw at our house. Wealthy men everywhere, glasses clinking, perfume thick in the air. I wore the dress she demanded, but my heart wasn't in it. Then Jake showed up. He'd come to check the tracking devices. Mom spotted him immediately. "Lisa. Who is this?" Waiter," she snapped. Jake calmly said, "I'm her friend. And she deserves better than being forced to live your dream." The whole room went silent. My mom's face turned red. "Get out," she screamed at him. But Jake had already done what I couldn't. He said out loud what I'd been too scared to admit. That night, I told her, "I won't live like this anymore, Mom. I'm not you." She slapped me across the face. The next morning, I woke up to chaos. Mom was gone. The house was ransacked. A message on her phone: "We have your wife. Pay or else." Her rich husband, my stepdad, looked at the message and scoffed. "She's not worth it. I'm not wasting my money." My blood ran cold. He refused to pay. He refused to save her. For all her mistakes, she was still my mom. I couldn't let her die. I called the police, but they said they needed leads. I felt helpless, until Jake reminded me, "The cameras, Lisa. The ones we set up in your garden. Maybe they caught something." We sprinted outside, pulled up the footage, and there it was. A dark van parked near the house, men dragging someone inside. The license plate was blurry, but part of it was clear enough. We took it to the police. They traced it. A warehouse on the edge of town. The drive there felt endless. My heart pounded so hard I thought I'd faint. The police surrounded the warehouse, guns drawn. I could barely breathe. Then I saw her. Mom, tied to a chair, mascara running, eyes wide with terror. The kidnappers panicked when the police stormed in. One grabbed her, holding a knife to her throat. "Stay back," he yelled. I screamed, "Mom!" And in that moment, I saw it, the reflection of light from Jake's tracking device camera blinking on the wall. The police used it to blind the kidnapper just long enough to strike. Within seconds, Mom was free. I ran to her, sobbing, shaking. For once, she held me and didn't say a word about my clothes, or money, or marriage. Just, "I'm sorry." After that night, everything changed. Mom filed for divorce. She admitted she'd been chasing wealth because she thought it would protect us, make us untouchable. But all it did was leave us vulnerable and empty. We moved into a smaller home, nothing glamorous. But Mom started working again. I kept seeing Jake, and for the first time, our house felt real. Sometimes, when I'm baking in the kitchen late at night, I think about how close I came to losing her, and how it took the darkest moment for her to see what really mattered. So here's what I learned: happiness doesn't come from money, or fancy parties, or living someone else's dream. It comes from freedom, love, and the courage to choose your own path. Thank you for listening to my story. If it touched you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because every cake we bake here comes with a story worth telling.
Welcome back to Tasty Story, where every bite comes with a twist of drama. I'm Emma, and this is my story. Have you ever felt like you'll never be good enough? That no matter what you do, someone else always shines brighter? That's me, living under the shadow of my sister Susan. But what happened last Valentine's Day changed everything. Susan is perfect. Beautiful, feminine, adored by everyone. And me? I'm the awkward one, the one who never measures up. Even Mom favors her. I'll never forget the day Susan broke Mom's favorite vase, and blamed me. Mom believed her. I stood there, humiliated, tears burning in my eyes. That was the day I knew Susan and I would never truly be sisters again. For weeks, I prepared to confess my feelings to Tony. I wrote him a heartfelt letter, bought chocolates, even asked a friend to record the moment. My hands were shaking as I walked into the courtyard. But then, I froze. Right in front of me, Tony knelt down with a bouquet of roses. And who was standing there, blushing under the cheers of the crowd? Susan. My perfect sister. He was confessing to her. The letter slipped from my hands. My heart shattered. And no one even noticed me. That's when Nick appeared. The nerdy guy everyone teased. Thick glasses, always buried in books. But his eyes, they were just as broken as mine. Susan had just rejected him too. We laughed bitterly. Two losers in love with the same girl. And that's when we came up with the craziest idea ever: let's break them up. Our first plan? Pretend to be ghosts to scare Tony away. But before we even got to the good part, the security guard caught us. We ran like maniacs, hiding inside an old storage room. And then, click. The door locked from the outside. We were trapped. All night. It was freezing. Nick took off his jacket and put it over my shoulders. My heart skipped a beat. For the first time, someone actually noticed me. We talked for hours. About dreams, fears, little secrets. Somewhere between laughter and silence, Nick stopped being just the nerd. After that night, we became inseparable. Lunch together, study sessions, silly jokes. I thought, maybe this is what happiness feels like. But then, Susan and Tony broke up. And Nick said the words that crushed me all over again. Maybe this is my chance. Maybe I still like Susan. I forced a smile, but inside I was screaming. What about me? Don't you see me? A few days later, Susan invited Nick to the movies. Panic consumed me. I couldn't just sit and do nothing. So I ran. My heart pounded with every step. Was I about to lose him, to her? Again? But when I reached Susan, she looked at me and smiled. Nick told me everything, Emma. About the prank plan, about that night in the storage room, and about how he feels. He doesn't like me anymore. He likes you. I ran home. And there he was. Nick, waiting outside my door, nervously fiddling with his hands. "Emma," he said, his voice trembling, "I like you. I've liked you for a while. I was just too scared to admit it." Tears spilled from my eyes. "Nick, I like you too." And in that golden sunset, we shared our first kiss. No crowd. No applause. Just us. And for once, I finally felt seen. So yeah, maybe I'll never be Susan. But I don't need to be. Because I've found someone who sees me for who I am. And that's enough. Thanks for listening to my story here on Tasty Story. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because every cake we bake here comes with a slice of drama. See you in the next story.